It's all I can do, but just throw up my hands and just say to the Lord, I need you. I need your help because everything we are trying to do is not working. Lord, please help.
Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Budget, the podcast from Legacy Financial Coaching. I'm Greg Carroll, your dedicated coach and legacy architect. Here, we go beyond balancing the numbers to explore the strategies, mindset shifts, and habits that lead to true financial freedom and lasting wealth. Together, we'll tackle financial stress, unlock more freedom in your finances, and empower you to create a legacy that inspires and impacts generations to come. If you're ready to move beyond just making ends meet and start building a brighter financial future, you're in the right place.
Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Beyond the Budget by Legacy Financial Coaching, where we can help you build the financial legacy you deserve. I'm Greg, your legacy coach, and I'm so glad you're tuning in today. Before I get started, let me just give you a quick update on my mom. If you remember from episode 2, my mom had some heart issues and had to spend some time in the heart hospital here in Jacksonville. Well, she got to go home, was doing well, and then she had chest pain again. So back to the ER, and she went, and she was admitted again. Turns out there wasn't any new blockage, but by her being there, they did run some additional tests, found out her heart was pretty weak. So she came home with some new treatments and medications. Well, this past week, she went back again. We weren't sure if it was related to her heart or not. So out of the abundance of precaution, they admitted her. And because of her white blood cell count, which was high, turns out she has an infection. And so now they're giving her an IV drip of antibiotics to fight off this infection. Just when we seem to be making progress, something else happens and we seem to be taking more steps backwards. It's all I can do, but just throw up my hands and just say to the Lord, I need you. I need your help because everything we are trying to do is not working. Lord, please help. Have you been there? Maybe you've been there with a family or a loved one. Maybe you've been there with your own finances. Maybe you've tried all the things and nothing seems to work. You just find yourself in another emergency, and instead of going to the emergency room, you pull out the credit card or you call the bank and request another loan to help you get by, at least for now. Well, if that's you, then I want you to know that you're in the right place and that there is help and that there is hope. Do me a favor, keep listening, keep on this journey with me. You are not forsaken. Can I also ask that you keep my mom and dad in your prayers as we continue to navigate the curveballs that life is throwing at them? If there is a silver lining to what is going on, the finances is one thing they don't have to worry about while going through this. And it is by the grace of God and through hard work. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the importance of having a financial plan, a clear roadmap to achieve your goals and reduce money stress. Today, we're diving into the foundation of any financial plan, budget. I know, budgeting to most people is a dirty 4-letter word. It was to me. Trust me, this is where the magic happens. So grab your coffee or pop in your earbuds and let's talk about taking control of your money. So what is a budget? Well, a budget is simply a plan for your money. It's telling every dollar where to go instead of wondering where it went at the end of the month. Think of it like a GPS for your finances. It helps you get from where you are to where you want to be. As Dave Ramsey says, a budget is people telling their money what to do instead of wondering where it went. And he's right. Without a budget, you're just guessing. With one, you're in control. Now, when I meet with most clients and they tell me they do a budget, what they really mean is they look at their checking account. And if there's money still in the account at the end of the month, then they did their budget for the month. If it's negative, well, then we must have overspent. In this episode, we'll talk about budgeting. It is both a noun and a verb. A budget is a thing, but it also has an activity associated with it and requires active participation. It means having line items for your income, for your giving, for your 4 walls, your savings, your needs and wants, and if you have debt, categories for each of those. It may sound daunting at first, but once you are consistent with it for a couple of months, you'll wonder why you never got started sooner. So why does budgeting even matter? Why is it important? Well, here's a fact for you. According to a recent study, 65% of Americans don't know how much they spent last month. That's two-thirds of people flying blind with their money. Budgeting matters because it helps you avoid overspending, to save for your goals, reduce financial stress. Imagine having enough to cover your bills, to put money aside for that dream vacation, and still be able to save for retirement. I'll share a quick story with you. One of my coaching clients started budgeting last year. Before budgeting, they felt like they never had enough money left at the end of the month. Together, this couple made over $200,000. That's a lot of money. They were even planning a family vacation, but their plan was to pay for it on the credit card and pay for it over time with interest. Once they started using a zero-based budget, they found areas where they didn't even realize that they were overspending, like food and groceries, eating out. They looked at how much money they were spending eating out and they were shocked. By redirecting that money, they were able to cash flow the vacation and save an untold amount of interest. That's the power of budgeting. So, Greg, how do you create a budget? Well, there's a million spreadsheets and apps out there with all the kinds of bells and whistles. Don't worry, it's easier than you think. Sometimes starting with a pen and paper is the best place to start. So, here's a few steps to get started. Number one, list your income. Write down all your income sources. Write down your normal paychecks, any extra money coming in from side hustles, garage sales, freelance work. Be honest about what's coming in each month. Write that down. Number two, list and categorize your expenses. What I'm going to say next may challenge your thinking. Before you allocate any of your income to your expenses, I challenge you to set aside money for giving. Karen and I believe in setting aside 10% of our income here because it's number one. It's an act of giving back to God, what's already His. But number two, it helps us to build within us a spirit of generosity. And after setting aside money for giving, then set aside money for savings. If you're in debt, set aside $1,000 for your emergency fund. If you're out of debt, set aside up to 3 to 6 months of expenses for your fully funded emergency fund. Next, cover your four walls, your food, your utilities, your shelter, your transportation. Next, list all of your monthly expenses like insurance, childcare, debt, and then work in a miscellaneous category, and then your non-essentials like personal spending, fun money, and entertainment. Step number three, subtract expenses from your income. Now, this number should equal zero, meaning you just made a $0 budget. Does not mean that your bank account is zero. It just means that you've directed every dollar where to go. If you've got money left over, don't leave it there. Put that extra money towards whatever your current financial goal might be. If it's eliminating debt, add that to the minimum payment of your lowest debt. Now, if your dollar amount left is negative, don't panic. You need to go back through your budget and figure out where you can cut expenses until your income minus expenses equals zero. Number four, track your expenses all month long. This is the secret sauce to successful budgeting. You must account for everything that happens with your money all month long. For example, when you buy groceries, subtract the total amount from your available food or grocery balance. When you pay your mortgage or your rent, subtract that expense from your housing category, and so on. Now, if budgeting is new, I'd suggest start doing this daily or even every other day. If you've been budgeting for a while, at least once a week, but be consistent. Throughout the month, you may find the need to make adjustments, so that's okay. Give yourself some grace. Make the changes and adjust accordingly. The best way to track your expenses is to stay accountable. If you're married, do this together. Review your transactions on a weekly basis and talk about where your money is being spent. Remember what we talked about in episode 2? Your why? Keep that at your forefront. Tracking also keeps you from overspending. It helps you stay on top of your budget. And while you're tracking, you're learning more about your own habits so you can adjust as necessary to help you stay on track with your financial goals. Number 5, make a new budget every time the month begins. Today's February 1st. Start today. Map out your plan for February. Even if you're not listening to this until the 5th or 6th, you can still catch up. The next thing to do is start planning for the next month, which at the time of this recording would be March 2025. Set aside time the last week of February and start planning your budget for March. In our house, we call this the budget committee meeting. I'll usually draft the budget. Then Karen and I come together to review it and discuss changes. We review how we did in the current month, and we both ask if there's anything that we've not accounted for. If you don't plan ahead, then you are planning to fail. And guess what? Your money goes where it wants to, not where you wanted it to go. Here's a tip. Don't forget about the irregular expenses, and I'll talk about that in a minute. What are some common budgeting pitfalls? Well, number one, being too rigid. Your budget should work for you, not against you. Life happens. It's okay. Adjustments are needed. Make sure you have a miscellaneous expense category. Things are going to change. Give yourself grace. Give yourself 90 days. Forgetting irregular expenses. Remember things like annual insurance premiums or birthdays. Those aren't surprises. Guess what? Christmas is coming in 11 months from now. Don't freak out in December saying I haven't saved up enough money. You know now. Plan ahead. Look back at your credit card statements or bank statements for the past year to find those irregular items. And lastly, not tracking it. If you set your budget but don't check in on it, it's like buying a membership to the gym but never setting your foot inside. It doesn't work. It won't do you or your money any good. Tracking your spending weekly is the purpose and the key to success in staying on track. Remember, budgeting is not about perfection. It's about progress. Start small, get better each day. I always tell my clients, give yourself grace and give yourself 90 days to really start getting into a rhythm. You'll actually start to find that budgeting is more about freedom than it is about restrictions or limitations. All right, now it's time to take action. This week, I challenge you to take 20 minutes, create your first budget. Start with listing your income and expenses. You don't need any fancy apps. You don't need any tools. Pen and paper or a simple spreadsheet will do just fine. For Karen and me, we happen to use the EveryDollar app. You can download this for free or you can purchase the premium version. The premium version has a lot of tools, fancy tools to it, but it also connects to your bank accounts, which makes transaction processing a lot easier. I'll include a link in the show notes to the EveryDollar. And if you decide to purchase the premium version, you'll get $10 off. If you've never budgeted before, this might feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise you that it's worth it. Like the saying goes, what gets measured gets managed. And don't forget to tune in next week for episode 4, where we'll dive into goal setting for financial success. I'll walk you through how to set meaningful goals that help keep you motivated on your financial journey. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. It helps us reach more people who need financial freedom. Thank you for tuning in today to Beyond the Budget by Legacy Financial Coaching. I'm Greg, your legacy coach, and I'll see you next time. Keep building your legacy one step at a time. Be free.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Budget. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and encouragement to build a stronger financial foundation. Remember, your legacy starts with the choices you make today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit. And as always, if you're ready to take your finances to the next level, schedule a no-cost initial strategy session. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and let's build a legacy worth leaving.